Welcome to the Motoring Podcast, your weekly discussion of motoring news. This is episode 639 on Tuesday, the 8th of July, 2025. Hello, I'm Alan, and yes, I'm on my own. Somebody is enjoying sea, sand, and I don't know if it's sangria or not, probably not. So yes, you've just got me. So relatively short show this week, and I'm going to whiz through the stories as quickly as I can because you don't really want to just listen to me. And we're going straight into new news. So we're going to start off with the new car registrations for June 2025. Now, big news, the market is up, or at least the number of registrations is up anyway, up 6.7% over June 2024 to 191,316 units. Battery electric vehicles, the demand for those rose significantly by almost 40%, meaning that they now have a market share of 24.8%. Obviously, petrol is at the top with 88,029%, and that's 88,029, nothing to do with percent, and that's down 4.2% on last year. Battery electric vehicles are the second largest segment, so petrol made up 46% of the registrations, battery electric vehicles 24.8%. Next is hybrid electric vehicles at 23,835 units, or 12.5%. Plug-in hybrids are the fourth most popular means of moving your vehicle with 21,382 units, or 11.2% of the market. And last but not least, diesel, 10,716 units for 5.6% market share in June 2025. Where are those going? Well, business was down 15.8%, making at the moment 2.5% market share. Private buyers have a market share of 37.4%, and 60% of all vehicles registered in June 2025 went to fleets. That's 114,841. Of course, this could be through PCP, hire purchase, or any of these kind of reasons. Overall, well, yes, as I said, up 6.9% on last year. I mean, this is really down to manufacturers pushing EVs by any way they possibly can. A lot of dealer, a lot of manufacturer incentives going on at the moment. Mike Hawes, Chief Executive of the SMMT's statement reads, "A second consecutive month of growth for the new car market is good news, as is the positive performance of EVs. That EV growth, however, is still being driven by substantial industry support, with manufacturers using every channel and unsustainable discounting to drive activity, yet it remains below mandated levels. As we've seen in other countries, government incentives can supercharge the market transition, without which the climate change ambitions we all share will be under threat." Well, I think looking at UK government, they're not really very good at giving out any sort of incentive for pretty much anything right at the minute. Generosity is off the table politically. Let's quickly run through the top models, and then we'll run through the spreadsheet of doom and glory. Beginning with number 10, of course, Peugeot 2008 with 3,212 units registered. It's all very, very close. So number 10, Peugeot 2008, 3,212. Number 9, Nissan Juke. Number 8, the Volkswagen T-Roc. Number 7, the Kia Sportage with 3,376 units. Number 6, the Tesla Model 3, 3,538 units. Number 5, MGHS. Number 4, the Vauxhall Corsa. And number 3, the Tesla Model Y with 4,181 units registered. Ford Puma comes in at number 2 with 4,419. And at number 1 is the Nissan Qashqai with 5,008 units. So as I say, quite a small band there, but the Qashqai a significant step over the Puma in relative terms. The spreadsheet of doom and glory, not a lot to run through. There's lots of sort of small changes, and we generally have a threshold of plus or minus 15% before we will read out a name. So let's start with the negatives. So Abarth is down 82%, Audi's down 19%, Fiat's down 31%, GWM down 87%. That's 36 vehicles registered instead of 284 last year. Of course, remember, this can depend on whether or not an organisation had a bumper month or a fleet order come through in 1 year, and then of course the next year it looks pretty grim. Honda down 26%, Seat down 47%, Suzuki down 38%, Toyota down 24%, other British is down 30%, and other imports are down 44%. Meanwhile, on the up, Alpine up 721.74%, 189 vehicles registered instead of 23 last year. So there must have been a batch of right-hand drive made, and that of course gets them the MG award for ridiculous percentage increases in a month where there was a few that could qualify. So BYD, for example, up 557%, Citroen up 22%, Cupra up 45%, DS up 579%. Yeah, that's quite significant. 577 vehicles instead of 85. Ford is up 20%. That's the first time in a while. KGM is up 41%. Lexus is up 22%. Mazda's up 25%. Peugeot up 77%. Polestar up 293%. Far more models available this year than last. And Skoda is up 28%, and that pretty much rounds it out for the new car registration news. Oh, look, there was one other thing I wanted to say before I closed that. There we go. And that was Jaguar. Obviously, lots of cries in some of the more tabloidy press outside of the motoring world about Jaguar. Look, there's no vehicles registered. It's terrible. This is because they went woke and people moving away. No, it's because they have no vehicles to sell. It's that simple. They stopped manufacturing some time ago. That there have still been new Jaguars being registered has been a bit of a surprise over the last few months. So yes, once stocks are out of those, then obviously there is the new EV super coupe upmarket thing coming almost imminently, I think. So we shall see what happens with that. Well, certainly, when I say almost imminently, I mean we're actually hopefully seeing what the real product looks like. But I'm sure even the concept will be getting a good airing at Goodwood in a couple of weekends' time. Continuing with the new news, McLaren. More shuffling at McLaren after its takeover by CYVN Holdings. They are now updating their board of directors. So along with Torsten Müller-Otvos from Rolls-Royce, former Rolls-Royce CEO, as we all know, they have also announced that Luca Di Montezemolo, I can never quite get that right, former Ferrari and Maserati president, is now on the board of directors as well. I mean, he was quite... When I say quite, what I mean is really very instrumental in the renewed success of Ferrari over the past, 15 years, I suppose. And, its success in Formula One and these kind of things. He was in charge during that period. So, yes, let's see. Definitely someone familiar with the workings of supercars and hypercars in Torsten Müller-Otvos. Then there's someone very familiar with the marketing and sale of luxury vehicles. So let's just see how that goes. I can see maybe one person having a lot of input into new supercars and hypercars for McLaren, and somebody else having a lot of input into new SUV type, more volume vehicles for McLaren that will help raise the money to develop and enhance the supercar side. A little more down to earth, however. Geely. So we talk about Geely quite a lot. Geely own Volvo, own Polestar, have a share in Mercedes-Benz as well. But so far we haven't seen Geely badged vehicles here in the UK. Well, that's about to change. Geely recently showed off the EX5 all-electric C-segment SUV at the Octopus Electric Vehicles Drive Day. The Geely EX5 will be available left-hand, right-hand drive, obviously right-hand drive here. Sales expected to start in Q4 of this year. Mike Yang, who's a general manager at Geely Auto UK, says, "We know the Geely EX5 is a great product with several core features that will appeal to a British audience. That's why we chose it to be our first passenger car for sale in the UK. However, we're aware that UK customers have unique demands. For that reason, before we release the car for sale, we're working with the experts at Lotus Engineering, whom of course they also own, to make sure we have a car that's in line with expectations. Lotus Engineering has a formidable track record, some of the best R&D resources, so we're delighted to be working closely with them. If this is not a good car for the UK, Geely will have failed successfully failed. So yes, I think this is going to be an interesting one to watch and just see what happens. What happens there? Fingers crossed, as always, for these. We always want new things to be successful. Meanwhile, in France, Renault has changed its accounting system. I know. It's the kind of thrilling thing that you get from the Motoring podcast that no other podcast gives you. I mean, you don't get that from Smith & Sniff. But we're telling you about it, not because we're interested in Renault's accounting systems, but because the way that they have... essentially the way that they are counting things, the way that they are classifying their ownership of Nissan. Previously, that was accounted for under an equity method. But from now on, it's going to be counted as a financial asset, measured at its fair value through equity, estimated on the basis of Nissan's stock price as of June the 30th, 2025. That's great, but what's the real outcome of it? What does it actually matter? Well, it turns out it's a loss of 9.5 billion euros on the Renault books. Whether that is a real loss of 9.5 billion euros or not is a different matter, but obviously in accountancy it all leads towards tax and all that kind of thing. What they are saying is that there is no cash impact of this. This is just a change of valuation rather than a change in anything real, rather than money going in or out of bank accounts or anything like that. What they are saying is that this is the result of a pragmatic and business-oriented approach, they being Renault, by the way. And although this accounting change implies a significant adjustment to Renault Group's financial statements, it does not change the strategic and operational commitments between Renault Group and Nissan. The two partners continue to work in joint industrial and technological development programs, as evidenced by the new strategic projects announced on March the 31st, 2025, which we covered at the time. These initiatives illustrate a relationship based on pragmatic and business-oriented decisions and show a common desire to maximize synergies and create value for both companies while allowing each to maintain flexibility and efficiency for their operations. For those of you who sometimes need a little bit of translation of some of the business words, it means we're going to be just as grumpy with each other as we were before. We're going to keep on working in the same kind of way, and it's really just a paper-based reevaluation. That's what Renault was saying. I'm sure that there have been some grumpy words from Nissan in the background, because obviously Renault taking a significant loss on Nissan and showing it in their accounts in this way doesn't necessarily look great for Nissan. So I'm sure that whilst it's, yes, we're all chummy together still, it's just on paper, some of the folks at Nissan are probably going to be more than a little grumpy about essentially a significant devaluation of their organisation. Last piece of new news, and this could almost have been an and finally, but isn't quite, just edges in under news because news is quite quiet at the moment. As I say, Goodwood coming up, we're going to see loads of new car releases and coverage. And in the meantime, all PRs are just beavering away at that and not really worried about the weeks in advance of that. But Ferrari has lost a trademark battle against a local drinks brand in Malaysia. So we're all aware of the Ferrari shield and logo with the prancing horse in a shield with the colours of the Italian flag at the top and SF at the bottom to show Scuderia Ferrari. And however, a Malaysian energy drink called, and this makes me chuckle every time I read this, called We Power. That's W-E-E Power, has a logo, and that logo is two similar-ish prancing horses facing each other across a sort of stylized W in the background with the words We Power underneath. And I do urge you to follow the link in the show notes to just see the similarity between the two. Well, ultimately, though, the High Court in Kuala Lumpur has dismissed Ferrari's lawsuit against Sunrise Mark, ruling that the company's We Power logo is not similar to Ferrari's trademark to the point of causing confusion and could proceed with registration. Essentially, the outcome is that it contains a horse, and the horse is on its back legs. That the only similarity is the use of horses. Nobody is going to get the two of them mixed up at all. The final line was, the two product types do not compete and the customer bases of both parties are unlikely to overlap, said the judge. The court also ordered Ferrari to pay legal costs, which seems right and proper given how kind of spurious it really was. Anyway, that takes us to Guilt Minute. Quick break in the show where we ask for a tad of financial support to keep the lights on, the hosting running. And if you feel the Motoring Podcast is worth a small consideration every month, then you can become a patron. Different levels of patron include different levels of commitment from us to you, including being able to watch the show recorded live. We also have a small range of merchandise in our spring store, from stickers to mugs and t-shirts. If you don't have any spare cash, and we do completely understand, then you can help us by following for free from a podcast player or by subscribing on YouTube to receive every show as they're released, and by liking and rating the show in whatever way your podcast supplier lets you. If you've done all that, and some of you do, so thank you very, very much, then the last thing you can do is to recommend us to your friends or colleagues. New car news now, of course. And I think the most significant unveiling, most significant new vehicle announced in the last couple of weeks is the new Kia EV4. So the EV4 is a new hatchback. It costs about £37,695. And what's most notable of all is the range. So it comes, at the price I've just mentioned, it comes with a 388 mile range. Obviously, EV4 size-wise fills the gap between the EV3 hatchback and the EV5 crossover by being a little bit of both. I don't think it's the most attractive Kia out there. It has a bit of a droopy snoot to it and a bit of sort of weird sort of slump at the front. Other than that, it's pretty good looking. But obviously, that's heralding fantastic aerodynamic benefits. And stopping it looking too much like an SUV. It doesn't really. It's very much more hatchback than SUV. There are two versions globally, hatchback and saloon. The hatchback is about the same size as a Kona Electric, and the saloon style is a little bit longer than the Tesla Model 3. Europe, mostly going to see the hatchback, which will be up against the EC4, ID3, and Volvo EX40. Powered by a front-mounted motor, putting out 201 horsepower, 0 to 62 in the mid 7 seconds, which is more than quick enough. Changes a little bit depending on battery and trim level. There will be a hot GT version at some point with dual motors, 4-wheel drive, and silly power and pace, but these are really the ones that are going to sell and that probably of more interest to most people. There are two different sizes of battery pack. You can get 58.3 kilowatt hour, one which gives a pretty chunky 273 miles of range in the hatchback guys, and you can also get the 81.4 kilowatt hour battery, which is the one that I mentioned earlier, and that's what gives you the 388 miles between charges. 10 to 80% charge, takes at least 29 minutes for the smaller battery, 31 minutes for the larger one. Inside, very similar to the EV3, which it seems is no bad thing at all. Hatch, by the way, will be built in Slovakia, and the saloon will come from Korea if it's offered over here. But it's kind of interesting, as I say. I'd say the saloon is possibly a bit better looking than the hatch, but obviously here in Europe, the hatch is going to be far more popular. It's quite nice the way they've sort of reintegrated from the sort of C-pillar back. So there is a significant difference in profile. The saloon is not just the hatchback with a bit of a boot built on. It does look like it's whilst the front is common, the very rear, possibly rear doors, etc., are different to allow for that different roof line. So it's not as gawky as many hatchbacks we've seen in the past. Also from Kia, if you're not interested in EVs or you don't have the use case for an EV, then they have released information on the updated Kia Sportage. That's going to hit UK showrooms this summer. It's going to be priced from around £30,885. Brings the styling into line with the Picanto, the Sorento, and the EV3 with coal light headlights and all that kind of thing. Blockier grille. It's pretty good looking, I think. The entry-level hybrid is priced, as I say, from 34,000. I've got that right. Yes, from £34,425. So that actually makes it £1,790 cheaper than previously. But if you want a four-wheel drive, then there's a big step to £43,725. Plug-in hybrid won't be available initially, but it will follow along in due course. 261 horsepower for the plug-in hybrid, so that should shift if you do need that kind of thing. That's pretty much it for new cars. There is one recall. Stellantis is recalling diesel cars in Europe over the camshaft chain issues. As they are, that means almost a million. Well, near enough a million. 930,000 vehicles in France were affected, but they haven't given an overall figure for all of Europe. Essentially, the challenge is that if vehicles were produced between October 2017 and January 2023, due to potential camshaft chain issues, then it is recalling them. It's unaware of any accidents or injuries resulting from the camshaft wear issue, but I'm quoting, some 2017 to 2023 Peugeot, Citroën, Opel, Vauxhall, DS and Fiat vehicles equipped with a 1.5 Blue HDI diesel engine may face a premature wear of the camshaft chain, leading to abnormal noise and, the worst case scenarios, a breakage of the chain. So the rework consists of a software update, changes to the oil if needed, and in addition, a special repair application has been developed to detect a possible problem with the chain by analysing the noise of the engine. So they can tell, in theory, they can tell which ones may or may not be bad or going bad. The 1.5 Blue HDI diesel prompting the recall was developed before the merger by PSA, and Stellantis stated that the Fiat cars were also affected by the recall, and they're saying under this enhanced policy, Stellantis will cover 100% of parts and labour costs for up to 10 years or 240,000 kilometres, subject to specific conditions. This additional policy applies to eligible repairs carried out between the 1st of January 2023 and the 30th of June 2025, provided that the vehicle's maintenance and diagnosis meet the REC guidelines recommended by the relevant brand. That does seem a little bit strange, but maybe this is just anything that might have happened in the past if you haven't already had the issue diagnosed. Do please check the small print, and if you have a vehicle which has the 1.5 Blue HDI diesel engine, do get in touch and check if it has been subject to this recall or not. There'll be a lot of cars out there that are. Points of interest is, as usual, up next. Lunchtime read this week comes from Dan Cogger, at Haggerty, and he's talking about Como Car Week. This is one of these stories that Andrew always falls in love with because it involves lovely cars and beautiful scenery, and just general niceness. And, you know, the Italian lakes are superb. Some of the vehicles photographed are superb, and the combination of the two of them is just fantastic. So this included, of course, Villa d'Este, and just some of the vehicles and some of the class winners are quite special. Great photography, good words. Go have a little bit of a read. It says it should take you about 6 minutes, but that's probably not including gawping at all of the photos, because there's a lot of pictures in there too. List of the week this week is, as seems to be the way right at the minute, from Autocar. It's not attributed, it just says by Autocar. And what they're including is Treasures of the Toyota Museum. The official Toyota Museum in Nagoya is a must-see for all car fanatics, and here are some of the highlights. There are a lot of highlights. There's 37 slides. Some of them are 2 pictures of the same car because it's an interesting car. It's very much a case that not all of them are Toyotas or anything from the Toyota group. So my choice from the list is slide 14, and it's a Tucker 48 Torpedo. So the Tucker Torpedo, as it says here, highly innovative and with a big focus on safety, the 48 featured a 5.5 litre helicopter-derived flat 6-cylinder engine mounted at the back and a central directional headlight. Just 51 cars were built before Tucker went bust amid various scandals, and that survivors are very valuable, which is very true. The history of Tucker could be a whole podcast on its own. I'm not going to say it bears similarity to at least one American car brand these days, because it doesn't really. It's far less stupid and far more interesting than that. So Tucker Torpedo is my choice. Just super interesting. There were no Yaris or Vitz in the list, although I'm sure they're there in the Toyota Museum. I'd love to go. Japan is the country I really want to go to that I have never been to, and I'm very lucky to be well travelled, but I've just still never quite made it there. And finally this week, it's a YouTube video that Andrew's chosen for us, and it is Paul Cowland giving a bit of a walk around some of his quite ridiculously large and varied car collection. So yeah, he has started up a YouTube channel called Cowland Car Collection, which is not about moving cars around the country. I know that's what it sounds like, but it does kind of centre around his own collection, and I think it's great because Paul's got so many cars that some of them actually don't get out very often, and so if he gets a great child, hopefully this gives him an excuse to get some of them out and about and share some of them with the rest of us. Very cool. Thank you, Paul. Nice one. And I think that pretty much does us for this week. Andrew is back next week, so it won't be the same style of monologue. Thank goodness for all of us involved. And we'll be back to business as usual. But don't forget that between now and then, you can give us any feedback and share your thoughts of the show at motoringpodcast.com on Blue Sky, at Motoring Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and on the contact page of motoringpodcast.com, the hub of all our activities. Remember, you can support us financially via Patreon, and please leave a review and rating on Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Definitely, please like and subscribe on YouTube. So many of you are doing it. We really appreciate it. But if you haven't got around to it yet, then knock yourself out. And you can also do it via whatever other podcast app lets you do such a thing. The best way to get in touch with Andrew is to search for Cracked Windscreen on Blue Sky or under his real name of Andrew Clues on LinkedIn. And the best way to get in touch with me is via Blue Sky, where I'm at AJP Bradley. That's BRADLEY.bsky.social. We'll both be back very soon, but until then, I've been Alan Bradley. There's no Andrew Clues, but safe motoring.